manifest. But here it's just open-ended. Yeah, there is no journey from here to there. It's at the same location or non-location. Yes, it's just the attention and interest is more on these usually than on that. Because see, it's trippy. Watch your head. It doesn't notice what's always here. Yeah. It's really like the fish in the water thing. The fish probably doesn't know anything about being wet. Because it's always been wet. So it has no idea. It would take it to find itself on the deck of a boat, and then it would realize, by the absence of wet, it would realize, fuck, you know, and want to get back. But while we're seemingly in it, it's so easy not to know, seem not to know it, yeah? So like they would always say, it's right underneath your nose, or the seeker is the sought. They're always saying these cryptic things that are trying to take out space and time to like sort of bring it right to the nub of immediacy. You know, they're trying to cut it like the gateless gate. They're just attempting to imply to mind that it is what's looking. Yeah, it is what's looking. So what would happen? Would if it is what's looking, would the emphasis be on the looking so much, or would it be on the what? Yeah. When the emphasis is on the looking, and that is being used to imply the looker, there's going to be a lot of fucking looking. Yeah. Even to the point that you'll be looking for what you are, for what you're not. But the looking, it's like that person yesterday said, well, when did the seeking start? Well, in a physicality, it started when the baby was born, and it sought the tip, you know, immediately started to try to get up to the chest to get some freaking milk, yeah? So you could say it's been seeking or looking ever since, yeah? So this looking. But he's saying what's looking is what you're looking for, yeah? What's looking. Not who's looking, yeah, but what's looking is what you're looking for. It's a beautiful statement. It can be so disarming because suddenly it's shrunk the distance and the time to arrive at where you are. It just shrunk it to the immediacy of what's looking is what you're looking for, which would always be now. And we're here, yeah? So it's amazing that we could possibly believe we could miss it, yeah? But the stubbornness or the habit of, oh, is it on? All right, yeah? Yeah, it is. All right, so the habit of the looking, because it has an essential role, without looking, how could the looker be presupposed, yeah? How could there be an assumption of the looker without looking? It needs the action to imply the noun, yeah? And most of us believe the noun is doing the action, but it's the action that implies the noun. It's totally, you're missing the engine when you look at the train. You think there's a car that you think is the engine. It's just ass backwards completely. How could, you know, like for an example, I used to have this thing with, there's an alien race and they get a 10-year grant to come to America, to come to the world to study humans, yeah? They're funded for 10 years and they land and they check it out, America, let's say, for 5 minutes. And then they call up their planet and say, we're coming back. And they go, what do you mean? You just got there. And they said, well, any society, any civilization that would have profit over health is insane. You don't need to know any more. Yeah? Really. The insanity, no matter how sane it seems, it's based totally on insanity. I mean, you know what I mean? So there would be end of research. It would just be redundant to keep going over it. You learned all you needed to know. Just sort of like the message in a way. Yeah. doesn't take 10 years of research. You just, you could take 6 sentences out of certain sources, let's say Huang Po or this or that, Course in Miracles, 6 sentences at the most, and that could be your bedside inspiration for the rest of your life. You could just read it and just let mind go. Let it fucking, you know what I mean? It's like we're force feeding something we're not. So much information where what we are doesn't need much information at all. All it needs is a little bit, and then it just expands on it itself. Knowledge isn't valuable. Look at what we say in recovery, self-knowledge avails you nothing. What the fuck? Yeah, so any knowledge that's being claimed to imply the one who has the knowledge isn't really that knowledgeable, yeah, because you're missing the whole enchilada by looking for the enchilada. Yeah. You can say it zillions of times, and you know, it's such a tiny, imperceptible shift. But from the mental logic, it's unimaginable. You can't imagine it. Yeah. Because the way we would imagine it would have to have time and space involved in it or something. You can't imagine it. But there is a recognition of it if it, you know. And the fact is, when it occurs or seemingly occurs in this story of time, it really informs you it's always been this way. It's the only answer that invalidates its need immediately. It's the only solution that negates the need for a solution. It's mind-boggling, yeah? If you entertain this idea, the problem and the one who had the problems seemed so real that you needed a solution, yeah? And you come here, fucking ganja yoga, fucking, you know, fucking drums, vaping, getting high, whatever, try to mix everything up. So here you are. I think that's really more you don't need to say anymore. Really. Here we are. I mean, we can be driven to great lengths, you know, to go nowhere. It's such an oddity now to get nothing. And so, all right, let's see this little crack opens or whatever. What does it inform you? I don't know what it would inform you or as you, but what happened with me, it told me in no uncertain words or no words, it's always been this way. So then the whole story of arriving and reaching and getting and understanding and having it happen to me was dismissed by the goal that I was hoping to get, arrive at, have something happen to me by. Yeah? So as soon as I arrived, it dismissed all the reasons I was driven to arrive. What an incredible, like, most economical event. It's just shoot. The problem is an activity that the quote-unquote solution is entertaining, basically. So don't talk to the problem, go to the solution. And talk, instead of talking about a solution to the problem, talk to the solution about a problem. Yeah, don't go to the problem and talk about a solution. That doesn't go anywhere. Talk to the solution about the problem, and the problem will be seen as an activity. And if you follow the long arm, it's you. Yeah, the only thing that can make anything seem real here is us. Yeah. Yeah. We may not like that power, but that power is presented. The Course would capture it in a lot of ways. Lesson 2, you and I give everything all the meaning it has, just as a functionality here. That's what's happening. You and I, as what we are, not you and I, the meaning comes through this. This isn't giving it the meaning. Yeah? You and I, as what we are giving everything all the meaning it has, unbeknownst to the character of the story in most cases, really. Yeah? We're totally blind to the activity that is the dominant activity. where, where we call it us. It's really unbelievable. How could that happen? How could we be so unaware? It's like that old forest from the trees, We can talk about the trees, but we had missed the freaking forest. It's just an amazing possibility. Yeah, come on in, huh? Yeah.
Is that free? Yes.
We started a little early, but you didn't miss anything. So it's warming up. Yeah. We're going to go to this afternoon, because I've run out of things to say. We're going to use this part I like from the Course in Miracles. Because my whole thing it's not my thing, but the direction of every talk for me is to really describe what we're not, hopefully to what we are. Really. That's the drive. So we say it in a lot of ways. We'll say, like, I don't throw the messages into you, we throw it over. Because if that power that we are is everywhere, you really don't have to aim, do you? You know what I mean? Just throw it up. Everywhere's got to get it. How could I miss everywhere? So there you go. So I throw it up, but it does need to get over the stretch of your mitt. Yeah, the mental. It's like that, that Buddha with 1,000 arms. It has 1,000 mitts, and it's catching everything, neutering it. You need to get around it or through it. Throw it this way, underarm or something. But when it gets through, and I have faith it gets through, then what you are hears about what you're not. That goes somewhere. It does. And it has a lot of traction. And you know what? It's also seamless. It doesn't deviate. Yeah, it doesn't deviate. It doesn't suddenly turn into, let's describe what we are. No, there's just a seeing of what you're not. And in the seeing of what you're not, and I mean seeing could be understand, it's not vision, I'm not, all day. There's a seeing of what you're not. And in the seeing of what you're not, there is an intimation of what you are. Yeah? It's probably the closest thing to sort of having an experience of what you are. But you can't have an experience because you are it. Yeah? You're not in that, that option isn't afforded to us, yeah, because we're being it. But there's an intimation of it. You'll sense it, I swear, this happens with me. You have an intimation of it. The intimation isn't a sentence or a declaration, it's an intimation. And it doesn't stay, it spreads, yes, develops, goes out. And you're not showing any exertion while this is occurring. You're not, let's make this spread. No, it just does its thing, and then it regurgitates whatever, and stuff comes down, and then, like, let's say it mails it, like May 31st, you get it on October, so you're in a little time delay. So you have no idea really what's happening, then you realize, hey, I'm traveling lighter, and then it's obvious as an observation of the traveling lighter that you really had nothing to do with it. It sort of snuck up on you, really. You're like, what? Because it'd be nice, because you can't piece the traveling lighter with an extension of doing and having. It wasn't like, I did all this and now I'm traveling lighter. This was like traveling lighter, I haven't really done much at all. So you're like, wait a minute. So the whole system's validity gets a little bit, it's like the stock market goes down. You're like, wait a minute, this isn't necessary, and it's actually a failed mechanism. And then all this starts happening with not any work. You could read a sentence of Hoang Po. You don't need much. You can just go, hey, whatever can be perceived, yeah, cannot be perceiving. All right, what? You don't need to read 800 commentaries on it. It's just whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. All right, so the body isn't seeing. Let's put it, that's what he's saying, yeah? You're not the subject as this, yeah? The eyes are not seeing. The eyes facilitate seeing. Without animation, there's no seeing, yes? The ears could not hear without animation. The ears facilitate hearing. They're like the key that opens an experiential door. So the shape of the keyhole is this. Here's this, here's this, yeah, you know? Yeah, yeah. So you get that clear. All right, so Huang Po just cleaned all the boots and the Eiffel Towers of the game board are gone. Yet the game continues. And then you go, how could the game continue without the boot? Exactly. The boot isn't that relevant to the game continuing. Now, to the boot's point of view, it's incredibly essential, but in fact, the boot doesn't, it can be replaced by anything, and the Monopoly game continues. Oh, what? Yeah, yeah. So you're put in a sort of a humble position because you've seen your role in thing, and I'm telling you, it's not a big role. You know, it isn't. You're not a mover and shaker. Not everyone isn't thinking about you in most cases. You know, really. You know what I mean? They are. It's just everyone's in their own little private Idaho, and they're interested in their little spuds themselves. You know, they're not into. You know, so what happens? I don't know. I mean, when people say, "Do you feel good or not?" I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I really don't really check in, to tell you the truth. I don't check in on how I'm doing, or I really couldn't tell you. If you stopped me and said, "How are you, Paul?" I fucking would be, huh? I don't know. I haven't checked in about 3-4 months, maybe. Just a year, seemingly. That's all and on with it. Are you really happy, Paul? I don't know. I break down under interrogation. No, I'm not happy. I would. I just break down like that. You know? What else? Do you have a purpose? Well, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. You know what I mean? Aren't you a speaker? I hope not. I wouldn't listen to me if me was speaking. I would not listen to it. Thank God it isn't me. You know? So, yeah, and it may not even be a lot of fireworks. You know, emptiness doesn't have a lot of parades. It's just like but it is a very, like a man said here, we were talking about that little quote unquote aspect of a larger venue of nothingness. It's in the platform of humans somewhere. Like I was saying with you, it's on the top of the building as a little helipad, yeah? You know, most of the building won't even know it landed, but there's an aspect in you that is, you know, looking, or it's open to, and then when the message lands, it's a real big, it's like a real thrill, and it reverberates through the building, yeah? Like the bosses are nicer, you know, everything sort of chills out. And I don't think it could be replaced with anything else. More wouldn't replace it. More knowledge wouldn't replace it. More experience wouldn't replace it. It's really an absence of all the pursuits of more, really. It's just truly empty. It is. I never get anything out of any of these talks. Nothing. It's just, it's like a black hole, but you can't put your finger on it, but there's nothing about it. That means everything. It's very keen to that one eye. And then, you know, if you have a seed assignment, as I do, then you share it. Yeah. And then, see, there's a great story by Ramana, supposedly, Ramaharshi. Have you heard of him? He's like the godfather of what you call non-duality. He probably wouldn't think of that himself, but, you know, people have used his picture a lot at talks, and so probably would have walked in, who the fuck are you? But, you know, yeah, great devotee of Ramana. But he had a lot of followers, and they were pretty, you know, they'd been sitting around listening to his thing and not listening and just being there a long time. And they were talking about it with each other. Hey, you think we could teach and everything? And so they were talking, and he walked in, and they asked him, hey, Ramana, you think we could teach? He says, oh, definitely, all of you can teach, but I don't recommend it. So they were a little confused by that, and they go, why? He says, compassion. And they were confused about that, and he goes, why? And they go, well, You may be at a meeting such as this, and maybe you'll feel compassion for the people, and you'll dilute the message. What does that mean? For me, I have a sense of what it means, yeah, as a position of this job, and so the predicament we're in, which is this isn't really, this is my livelihood, I don't see it as that. I don't see it as a business. If I did, I would be fired already, because I'm not freaking good at it. But I do know to give everyone nothing, that nothing is the key, to leave everyone to their own devices so that they realize they're not their own devices. Yeah? If someone reaches and you give them an answer, they can be addicting to getting answers. Starve the questioner, and the questioner realizes it's the answer. Keep feeding the questioner, there's just more questions, in a sense. Not always, but generally, yeah? So non-duality, the point is not to be helpful in a lot of ways. In recovery, let's say, the point is to be helpful. Yeah. Now people say, isn't that conflicting? But it isn't conflicting if you see the context of it all. Yeah. There's yes and no, salt and pepper are both valid. Yes. There's world of helping, and there's another context that there's no need for help. Yeah. The starvation of helping, the starving of helping will allow you to see your own sustenance. Yeah. And if, as Ramana would say, if it's really not, he didn't say it, but he implied it, if it's not always available at all times, it has no value. If that which is necessary, if it isn't available at all times with no requirement necessary to meet it, it's not really valuable. If it's conditioned, it's not valuable. And the only thing that fits that is a non-thing. It's what we are. We are what we're looking for. And the way to get there that's been presented is what some people would say the negative way, where you negate, you question what, let's say, is assumed to imply you, and see if it does. And you know what you find? You will find it implies you, but there's no you it's implying. Yeah? But it implies you. Yeah? It implies you. It points as if there's a you, but there's no you that's being pointed at. When there's a seeing of that, there's a feeling that arises, which is the horse is in front of the cart finally. Something makes sense. Yeah? Not something that what you were taught that it makes sense, a something in your gut knows, and then over years, it has turned into the last answer, which is an incredible answer because it negates all need for any other answer. Yeah? And as a business, of course, if you have a product you're trying to sell, you want to advance it every year. You want to change the lights on the car, make it streamlined so you can sell it. Yeah? Who wants a fucking 1980 DeSoto? So you make it. But non-duality ain't like that. It's not a fucking product. It's a fact. It's not meant to become therapy. It's a fact. It's a simple introduction to an idea of how to look at what you're not instead of seeing from what you're not, looking at what you're not from what you are. Yeah? Just a slight little switcheroo, and then see how the informational stream works. When that's shifted, when that little thing gets turned, or that pipe is put into this pipe, see how things flow. See how things get translated. See how things equate. See how the immediacy becomes the basis of start. Yeah? See how this on-ness doesn't have an off switch, and you have no ability to obscure what you are from what you are by what you're not. It's all imaginary hocus pocus. Yeah? So you are what you're looking for, and then now you start looking for shit you can find. like pair of pants, a good coffee. I'm looking for a taco, whatever. Yes, and you'll have success. Pout yourself back. But man, it's not going to be second. It may take you lifetimes to find that taco. First, you'll have to purify yourself to get ready for the. Give me a fucking break. I can find the taco in a half an hour. Yeah, but no, this is different. To reach your spiritual goal will take lifetimes. What a fucking warranty. May take lifetimes of searching. And who is going to be telling me how I'm doing? What you're not! It's going to keep you on that diet your rest of your freaking life. Jeez. This message, like it or not, I feel it's seamless. I feel it's the last answer. I do. Which means it's the first answer. Therefore, and the first answer tells you there's no need for an answer. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. I've been open to have new radical shit. Nothing's come down the pipe. You know, I don't need ayahuasca to illuminate it. The ordinariness is really the greatest drug of all. Can't get pulled over for it. You don't have to call it a ceremony. You're just fucking here, incessantly on, at all times. You know what I mean? And there's nothing that comes after that can turn off that before. Yeah? Really. So, can you find that on the phone, honey?
I have it, yeah.
You do? I'm going to riff on this thing, because this to me, from the Course, and I haven't read the whole thing, you know. Sorry. This is it? Okay. Yeah, so I always use this, so people have heard this for years, because to me, I am as an inviter, yeah, I really am stuck with the idea of the direction of the invitation, and you would call it a negation, yes? So based on the fact that you are what you're looking for, so what needs to be seen isn't you because you can't, but what is being taken to imply you, yes? You as what you're not. It's a simple thing. It's seen through the advertising. The only reason why you're listening to what's playing up here is it sounds like you. You think it's you. You wouldn't listen to it if you saw it as Stanley's. You wouldn't. But because it's presented as Donna's or Paul's, it's like been a swan song for 50 years. You're fucking on and on and on. So here, this is from the Course in Miracles. People are familiar with it. If you're not, it was like a download in the 70s through some lady. And then she realized something was up. So she started having her soaps, and I'm not sure if this is the story, the genesis of it, but she had one of her colleagues write this stuff down, and this voice in her head was saying it was the mind of Christ, yeah, and fucking put this thing down, and so that turned into the Course in Miracles, which is basically a text to support doing these lessons for a whole year, which I never did, 365 lessons, with one of the main things is to have a perceptually change. So you would see that the seeing is contrived, yeah? Like it's fabricated, that you're a dream maker in a sense, yeah? Yeah. So, and they would hold the basis of this place as dreaming, yes? And that in fact nothing's ever happened. So they would say the base of the dreaming is that us as this feel like we've separated from the whole, yeah? We pulled ourselves away from the allness and we become a special somewhere, yeah? And suddenly finding ourselves there, a huge amount of guilt have come over us that we separated from the Godhead, so to speak, which is impossible, but there's a believing in it. So we're basically trying to get rid of that guilt by blaming you, basically. I want to take the role of being an innocent one, so I have to find fucking perpetrators. So I'm trying to, my parents, whatever it is. So you're really trying to dump it on something else so that you can take the role of being, oh, I'm the innocent one here, yeah? with the hopes that it would allay the guilt, but it doesn't work. Like most shit doesn't work, especially in an imaginary place. So yeah, so here he goes. And so this is, to me, listen, it's an incredible description of what we're not, in my view. Yeah. And just what you're not can be described because it's an activity. So here he goes. He says, yet we have heard a very similar description earlier. I would say it's a description of what you're not, yes? Yet we have heard a very similar description earlier, but it was not of you. Yes, right there. The word of, as you were talking about, is so important. We're not of that, yes? It's different than in, yeah? Yeah. We were not of you, but still, and still would have to be with time, yes? But still, this strange idea, which this description had accurately described, you think is you. So this is what we're doing. We're attempting to describe the activities that imply a you with the hopes that you will see that you're not the thinker that's thinking it's you. We're not even trying to change the thinking it's you. We're trying to see we're not the thinker of the think is you. I do not see value in the system trying to repair the system. I don't. I would much rather just see it, yeah, and see that it's not about me or not me, and then there's a loss of interest that I don't think will take 50 years to try to produce. Because it's a simple fact that you're interested in when it's about you. If you can make the you that's being presented not about you, you'd lose interest in it. Just like I lose interest in the conversation in the other room when I hear the girl say, I like Matt when my name is Paul. You know, just I don't have to send Navy SEAL 16 to retrieve it. The attention just leaves that fucking, it went through the wall, it was right like this. But as soon as it's not about me, why not apply it to this whole activity? You don't see it? That which implies personalness, if is seen or held as impersonal, you're going to get a lot of fucking relief that gets delivered through the personalness. Yes? I mean, obviously. All right, so, but still this strange idea, which it does accurately describe, you think is you. You can accurately describe the activity that is being used to imply what you're not. You cannot accurately describe what you are. What you are is indescribable, incomprehensible, but what you're not isn't. What you're not is very describable and very, very comprehensible. Yeah? You can comprehend what the activity is of what you're not. You can comprehend it, you can describe it, you can see it. Why do we keep trying to apply that to what we are, which can't be described, can't be seen, can't be known, can't be understood? And to understand and describe this doesn't take years of fucking study. It can take 5 minutes at the kitchen table. Just watch 5 minutes of the ticker tape and you see millions of yards of the ticker tape. It's the same, with just different nouns sprinkled in. Different, instead of it Mary, it was Julie who fucked me or something. Yeah? It's the same. You don't need 400 years of summary. Just 10 minutes. Take all that drive to understand what you are. Take all the fucking whys. Take all that. Turn it from what cannot be said why and turn it on that, and you will get so much more ore. You'll get so much more gold out of that little dive into understanding what you're not than you will with all the trolling and deep sea diving and purifying to learn about what you are. I'm serious. You find out what you are by realizing what you're not. You don't realize what you are from what you're not. You realize what you're not from what you are. Reason would tell you, all right, when it does accurately describe you, think is you. The whole key is think. What you are suddenly being seen as you has to be produced by thinking. Yes? That's where it's not even produced. It appears to be so. All right? Reason would tell you, or you could turn it into wisdom, but the Course likes to say reason would tell you quite a lot throughout the book. To say what he says. Reason would tell you. In other words, if there was a sound mind, it would be obvious to you. Yeah? Reason would tell you that the world you see through eyes that are not yours yeah, must make no sense to you as what you are. What? Yeah. So these eyes that are picking up information, seemingly, perception, yes, they are the distorting mechanism, yeah? So you perceive things. You perceive a lot of stuff that's not even there, yeah? So there's a lot of stuff coming through, and it's being collated, and it's being sent, and it's being tailor-made to fit into a frame of what's already been presupposed, which is you as a thing, yes? Reason would tell you that the world you see through eyes that are not yours must make no sense to you. To whom would seeing such as this send back its messages? So this is called self-centeredness, yeah? This form of looking, self-centeredness, yeah? That you see everything as how it pertains to you. That's basically the theme of self-centeredness, yeah? All right, so this form of looking, to whom is this form of looking sending back its messages to? Yeah? In other words, the information that's being gathered, what's the target audience? Yeah, is there a target audience? Or is it just like, what the ideal BBC would have been like, like just news, what? Target audience, yeah? All right. Reason would tell you that the world you see throughout that you're not yours. To whom would seeing such as this send back its messages? Surely not you. That's a very, very proper, nice way of saying it. Surely not you. I mean, surely not you. Come on, let's not even fucking go on with this charade. Obviously, this information isn't being directed to what you are. It isn't. It's all like confetti. It's all, doesn't mean a damn fucking thing. Yeah? All right. To whom would seem that surely not you, whose sight is wholly independent of the eyes that look upon this world. So he's talking about awareness, let's say, yes? Whose sight, the awareness, is wholly independent of the eyes that see this world. It has nothing to do with this. What this is called seeing, that seeing has nothing to do with this seeing at all. Yeah? Yet, it's seeing a whole lot more, well, let's say a whole lot less. It's seeing nothing at all times. But in a sense, that's a whole lot more than these are seeing. Yeah? All right, if this is not, so he goes here, all right. Wait a minute, I lost that guy. Let me go back to the other page. All right, surely not you whose sight is wholly independent of the eyes that look upon this world. So obviously these, yes, he's not, what eyes? Where eyes? It's these eyes. It's not like, it's those eyes, no, it's these eyes. He goes, if this is not your vision, all right, the brain cannot interpret what your vision sees. The brain cannot interpret what your vision, yes, what awareness sees. The brain cannot interpret it. It goes like flat screen. No, yeah, just it says off for some reason. The brain cannot interpret to the body of this. And he goes, the brain cannot interpret what your vision sees. This you would understand. Now it's speaking to what we are, just like the message is thrown over the heads. It's going, this you should understand. Not who you're not, but what you are. Freaking stop trying to convince what you're not that it's not you. It loves that. It's more of what it's not when it's trying not to be what it's not. He's saying, this you would understand. Yes? So if the message is heard by the Buddha that you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, it's a very clear communication. If Steve hears it, it can go fucking awry, yes? But if the Buddha hears, hey, Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself, it's quite well easily understood, yeah? So, but see, the important is this you would understand. Not this you, but this, what we are, would understand, yeah? And it will. And it does. The brain, this is one of the best parts. If I was in a debating thing, and I was debating someone, and I would just go to this Course in Miracles, and I said, this would be like the ace of the debate. Try to stump that. The brain interprets to the body. You understand what he's saying? The brain, taking in all this information, collates it, and interprets it to the body, of which it is a part. Yeah? So the body is interpreting this world to the body. Just like if they said, you looked at evolution from, there was a book a long time ago where it says, if you were like a jellyfish, you would think you were the crown of creation and nothing happened after you, if it was self-centered. You would think everything occurred and then the jellyfish showed up and that was that, yeah? So this is sort of what it's like, yes? The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. It's one of the greatest explanations of every freaking thing. So right now, what we call a body, this mechanism, what's taking in the information and the light and turning it into all these images and pictures, is interpreting it all to the body of which it is a part. Yeah? Why would you want to try to give a different target to that? It's not going to move. Its source code is like a laser thing. It's not going to leave where it's pointed at. Yeah? It's going to go for the target. The brain is going to interpret to the body of which it is a part. Now we, as conscious, can hear it, but you don't have to be listening to it. Yeah? You know, like in those movies, the guy has the walkie-talkie. He's not even talking, can still hear it, but he's not picking up. It's okay, sir, yes, I'll do that, because he's not going to do it. They're going to they're running away or something, but you can hear it. Hey, soldier, kill that person. Oh, you know what I mean? It's hearing it, but it's not listening to it anymore. It's like, fuck that guy. You know? It's very clear. I'm not doing what he's going to say anymore. There you go. So, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part, but what it says, you cannot understand. We always use the example of, let's say, if we showed up now as a kid and we looked out and we looked at ourselves and we were inside here in this dark little place and it was sunny outside and we'd be like this and looking like, chewing. The kid would think, what the fuck's wrong, Paul? But we're totally obsessed with what's not happening, and the kid had no understanding of it because the kid doesn't have time yet. When I was playing when I was young, I was not sitting around worrying will I be playing next week, because I had no idea of next week. Yeah? I had no idea of love or beauty in that. I wasn't thinking my mother was ugly. I wasn't my room is too small. I wasn't fucking, Mom, come in here and let's go over my playing with Wayne today. Who was playing better, Wayne or me? None of this was happening. I was just a fucking kid. Yeah? I wasn't in an abusive situation, and also I wasn't looking, I got to learn how to meditate, mindfulness, I've got to get into the moment. None of that was going on because I hadn't entertained the insane idea I could be out of a moment yet. Yes? Suddenly, 4 years old maybe, the language center gets strong. Everything now is accompanied by thought. Yeah? The eye gets taken off the ball and a new ball gets replaced, and it's an interpretive one. And now instead of living life and sensing it's happening, you interpret it as it's happening to you. And the dilemma is the system locks itself so beautifully, because even when you feel this sense of malaise or dissatisfaction or dukkha, as Buddha would say, you want to get out of it as the source of it. You're identified with the obscuring agent, and you now start looking for clarity as the obscuring agent. Yes? So what happens if the obscuring agent gets a hold of clarity? It's going to use it to obscure everything even more. Or let's say if for somehow or another falls into peace, it's going to use peace for a topic to get agitated about. Like, will I be peaceful tomorrow? Is someone having more peace? Yes? These things, the biggest one is the idea of enlightenment, which means, in one definition, the cessation of all suffering. Yet at these type of meetings, enlightenment is causing suffering. People are saying, this guy isn't enlightened. It's unbelievable. The thing that says exactly the cessation of all the suffering, claimed by this freaking brain that's interpreting it to the body, suddenly is used once again to drive something fucking crazy. What says you cannot understand, yet you have listened to it. Yeah. And long and hard you try to understand its messages. You have not realized it is impossible to understand what fails entirely to reach you. You have received no messages at all you understand, for you have listened to what can never communicate at all. This isn't communicating, it's narrating. This fucking doesn't communicate, it broadcasts. It broadcasts to it. It's not communicating to the audience, it's broadcasting. Yeah? It's narrating. All right, so think then what happens. I'd rather not, but let's go with it. Think then what happens. Yeah? Denying what you are. Now none of us believe we're denying what we are right now. I would imagine we don't. But there is by being obsessed with what we're not, there is a denying of what you are. So it says, denying what you are. This is one of the most telling sentences. Denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. Now that's incredible, because my idea of faith isn't like some kind of we lost somebody that I was expecting to be here. Here she is. Yeah. So we never lost her anyway. She's here. So this idea, I'm just reading from what I always do, because I ran out of things to say. So this idea of firm in faith. See, I look at faith as a force, or like an energy, a neutral. Yeah? It doesn't have any polarity, but it's going to have a polarity by the vehicle it's put in. Yeah? So when people say they don't have any faith, there was faith before that. Yeah? There was faith that they don't have any faith. Isn't it? Really? So faith is really the force that's right there when everything's manifesting. Faith is a huge energy. And Jesus used to talk about a lot, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, well, you do. You don't have it, but there's faith, all right? So faith manifests in the vehicle put in. So what's an easy one to look at? All right. Thought system, faith in those thoughts about what's not happening, or that the faith enlivens the force of the thoughts, and now last Wednesday can affect you today, which is an incredible miracle, really. Because there is no last Wednesday, yes? Wednesday isn't leaking into Sunday, but by having firm in faith in the thoughts about the reality of last Wednesday, it can be a sort of a reality now, which is mind-boggling to me. Totally fucking mind-boggling. It's bad enough. You could be upset today, but to have the possibility to be upset about every fucking past day and every future day is freaking covering all the bases with this thing, man. It wasn't happy enough just to fucking ruin yourself right this minute. Every fucking day past, every future day. Jesus Christ. It's like a blanket coverage, So, this to me is a perfect description of what's actually happening. Yeah. Denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. What is that? What does he mean? What something else is there? what is it? It's the sense of being you as the doer, the thinker, the haver, the body. That's the something else. It isn't like a vague, there isn't a huge amount of possibility of the something else. It's the identification with the body. Yes? That's the something else. So denying what we are, what you are, and firm in faith that you are something else, this something else that you have made to be yourself, isn't this one of the clearest freaking, I can't, this to me is one of the clearest autopsies or diagnoses I've ever freaking heard. It's just fucking relentless. It just describes it perfectly. It's almost, it captured the activity and froze it so that you can see it. Yeah. So that maybe if you put this shoe on and it fits, it will trigger stuff. It will trigger some understanding that you couldn't get under the standing. An understanding not of your own making, but being able to be expressed through what you are. Yeah. Denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. This something else that you have made to be yourself becomes your sight. Yeah. Yes? These eyes that are wholly independent from the vision that we are now become the way we look. It's called self-centeredness, and using this form of looking to find what you are is the blindness that you already are what you are. Yes, it's the way. Yeah? Using the bastardization of seeing into this form of looking to find what seeing is this illness of spirituality. Yet it must be the something else that sees, that you have made to be yourself becomes your sight. Yes. Yet it must be the something else that sees and as not you. What the hell? That's a huge get out of jail card. By realizing you were never in jail. You can't get a bigger one than that. You could drive a fucking truck through this statement. I don't see how. This is like a 20-mile tarmac. The fucking thing can land. Seriously.
Can you read that again?
Yeah, I will. Where am I? All right, so let me back up a little, because I think the whole thing is important. All right, so denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else, this something else, in quotes, that you have made to be yourself. Let's say that is implying it's yourself. I would change it a little, but you have made to be yourself, because I see it more as an activity. Yeah. I don't think nothing's ever made. There's a making or a supposing or assuming, but it's never made to be yourself. It can't be. You are what you are, yeah? But it's made to appear, or it's assumed to be, or insinuated, or reinforced. All that, I believe, is happening, yeah. All right. Your vision, all right, so yet, denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else is something else that you have made to be yourself becomes your sight. So we're relying on this, yes? Yeah, we're relying on the system that interprets everything to the body, yes? So obviously it's going to be quite easy to fall into the idea that I'm a body, obviously, because all the information is being directed at the body, yeah? That's the target. It's all about the body. It's all framed as a body. Obviously, it's the body, yeah? We're the body. That you have made to be yourself becomes your sight. Yet it must be the something else that sees, and as not you, explains its sight to you, and I would like to add ad nauseum. I think it overdoes it, doesn't it, really? It goes over old sight like fucking unbelievable. Let the fucking, it's like a forensic unit every second. Go through those embers. So, yet it must be the something else that sees and as not you explains the sight to you. Your vision would, of course, see, this is how, it sounds almost matter-of-factly. It sounds, what? Does this seem to be a call to arms for like 400 years of practice? This next sentence. Right? Just feel how it hits you. Does it sound like an order that you're gonna have to get some boots and fucking, you know. It doesn't sound like that to me. All right, so explains the sight to you. Your vision would of course render this quite unnecessary. What? So if I see it from what I'm not, it looks like a giant fucking expedition, which I'm bound to fail a lot. But if I see it from what I am, surely, you know, it would be quite unnecessary. I'll go for the latter. I will. I tried the former, and the only thing I can say, the value of the former, it led me to the latter, and the latter never leads me back to itself through the former. Your vision would, of course, render this quite unnecessary. Well, obviously, if the vision's always available at all times, why not live as if it's rendered it quite unnecessary? Why still dream of it through time? Recognize it's so now. Why not? Your vision would, of course, render this quite unnecessary. Yet, if your eyes are closed, and you have called upon this thing to lead you, the GPS, yes, asking it to explain to you the world it sees, you have no reason not to listen, nor to suspect that what it tells you is not true. Basically, until maybe it becomes so fucking disillusioning, maybe it becomes so obvious that what I'm relying on uses the moment to think about past and future moments. That would be like the alien landing on the planet and seeing a civilization that puts profit over health of its citizens is insane. I don't give a shit. There's thousands of, let's debate the topic. No, it's fucking crazy that people can have shit withheld from them that they need for their physical health because someone wants to make money off it. It's supposed, you know, unbelievable. So yeah, that's not, I don't understand that. A lot of this place I don't understand. I don't understand, really, when you look at the thought system, it values yesterday and tomorrow more than now, because it uses now to think about yesterday and tomorrow. It's mind-boggling. How much more do I need to study the thought system? Yeah? Will I be convinced on the 800 example or the 800 page of evidence? The title, self-centeredness, should convince you. It's a formulated way of looking called self-centered. Yeah? You see things from a thing and to a thing. What happens if you're not a thing? Why wouldn't it be confusing? Why wouldn't it be sort of like fucking like a dog with the what all day? What the hell, you know? And then to sort of try to, it's like that lion taking itself to be the sheep, tries to be the best sheep it can be, but it's a little too big for the sheepskin, you know? It doesn't want to chew cud. It doesn't want to worry about being a sweater next year. Yeah, like to roar, it's fucking craw or something, whatever. Yes, there's a nature. It's like, for me, it felt like that I, as a marathon runner, was convinced the race was in the closet, really. You know, I got on the oval in the mental closet and just ran, did the laps, maybe hoping one day I'll run, but not now. One day, and then instead the closet door isn't fucking locked. Just entertain some ideas and you'll be fucking sprinting. You can get out this thing. Yes. You can't wait for it to be done for you. It's not going to be. And it's not going to be done through you. Instead of having that allegiance to what you're not, bending to that what you're not, trying to live under that what you're not, trying to be that what you're not, it dictates, you fucking can break the mold, yeah? or at least live peacefully in the mold, realizing you're not the molded. Yes? It's like the idea of the hand in the glove. The hand in the glove can realize realize it's the hand while the glove's on. It doesn't have to wait for the glove to be off. It can hear the message and realize it's not the glove all the while the glove is on. So therefore it's not fooled and believing the eyes are seeing. It sees their seeing, which is not of these eyes that see the world. There's a vision that's never been cast through an eyeball. There's a large dimension of what we are that's trying to be squeezed into this dimension. It doesn't fit us. It doesn't. It's too tight in the genitalia area or something, you know? It's not, you don't feel comfortable wherever you are. And I share it only because this is how it's been reverse engineered in me. I have whatever it is. I don't God or anything. It's the language is always stifling, but relief downloaded, and with the relief came the schematics reverse engineered to what seemingly had the ability to cut off relief, or to make relief infrequent, or to make relief a very, very rare experience. Yes? And when I could see that, only from the solution can you see the problem. I can humbly say the problem is an activity. It's a compilation of an activity that leads us to believe, or leads us to jump into the idea we're the thing that's being thought about. And it changes the square. It changes the starting point of the game and moves it. And when we look at the game from that point of view, we see it how it pertains to us. And the game has nothing fucking to do about us, really. So there's a statement in the Course, one of my favorites, which is, you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. It's not saying you're the dreaming of the dreamt as if it's past tense. It's right now. Dreaming is now. So you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. We forget that. Yeah? We've taken these eyes to represent us, whatever, however you want to. There is an activity that seems to allow us to forget that we're the dreaming, and I would say it's the identification as the dreamt, yes? So suddenly the dreaming, forget that it's dreaming, and takes itself to be the dreamt, and suddenly the dream seems as real can be, obviously. Yeah? Because this seems as real can be. So the dreaming reinforces the dreamt, and the dreamt reinforces the reality of the dreaming, yes? On and on. All right, it says, all right, as soon as this occurs, and remember that thing, you and I give everything all the meaning it has. As soon as that occurs, which it never occurs, it seems to occur, but as soon as it seems to occur, suddenly everything we're giving meaning to now has the ability to affect us as the dreamt. So now we gave meaning to thoughts, and now the thoughts can own us. Yes, it's incredible. Yeah, it's like a boomerang. Yeah. We threw it out there thinking, it'll never come back. Boom! And it comes back. And now you got an ass to get bit, and your ass is getting fucking bit. Yeah? And now you want to get out of the dream, but see, it locks you in because you try to get out of the dream as the dreamt, which is part of the dreaming. Part of the dreaming is the dreamt trying to escape the dreaming. So how does one get out of the dreaming? Well, there's a realization you were never in the dreaming. Yeah? It doesn't say you and I are in the dreaming. It says you and I are the dreaming. We got a much bigger role than being something that in and hopes to get out of the dreaming. We are the dreaming. Yeah? We are. Right now. the activity of dreaming. That would be manifesting. Manifesting what? Nothing. Appearing as something. So you and I are the dreaming of the dream. We forget that we're dreaming. How do we forget that we're dreaming? Well, listening to the false evidence that's being presented all day. Yes? And once it appears to be real to what's real, it fucking seems as real can be. Yes? How does something that's false get to appear to be real? Yeah. If you saw its real nature, it would be false, yeah? Its nature is of falsehood, so you can easily recognize it. It's false, and then the next day you go back, it's false. Maybe 10 years, it's false. That's its nature. False evidence is appearing to be false evidence. Ah, that's clear seeing, yes? But now, false evidence appearing real. Woo! Now, how does that happen? You got to roll in it, I know that. So false evidence appears to be real to who or to what? It has to be appearing to be real to what's real. How would it get any reality? Where would it go? It'd have to be given reality by reality, yes? For false evidence to appear to be real, it has to be appearing to be real to what's real. That's us, yes? I can't express it any better, really. And expressing it longer is not going to really help. I mean, if this slap doesn't resonate, I might as well give up the slapping business. Because I just got slapped like Curly and Moe in the Three Stooges. And I administer slaps to this all the time. Fucking, that's why I read these things. Because they're like avalanches to me. The information, the sense-feltness of that paragraph is mind-boggling. It's one of the best descriptions I've heard of the activity that's being used to imply what I'm not to be what I am. Yeah, what an incredible, all the while, it says it there all the time, not of you, surely you can't be fooled by this. I mean, why? Because they just described it. I mean, if you wanted to unveil or unobscure something, I would say I could have used this as evidence number 3. The other statements I like better, but it's pretty good evidence. All right. Bring up the witness here, or the defendant. All right, Tanya, read this with an open mind. All right, it would pretty much, it would have been over, right? I mean, there's not much wiggle room in there, is there? I mean, you don't need to, we're all versed in English. You can't really make much more, it's pretty direct. Yeah? What's one to do with that? Read it every day? No. It's just like a sound in the mountains that starts the avalanche. The sound is just quite short, but it triggers. Yeah, you don't need a for hours. It's just and then something happens and the whole mountain falls. Yes, that's sort of like the message. Yes. Wax and reverberation. Whack, reverberation. Yeah. Whack, reverberation. Then suddenly, reverberation, whack or no whack. And that bass line gets hit, doesn't get hit. You put something on it and you feel the vibration of it. Even if you feel just a little of it, it implies the infinity of it all. You don't have to go, just a little, and it's, yeah? Yeah? You don't need, here's infinity. That would take too long. Yeah? Here's infinity and a little spice. Yes? All right, any questions today?
I have a question. I think I heard on a video you say that you do this same talk over and over and over again in different cities, doesn't matter where you go, you're doing the same thing until, and I may have been mishearing, until there's something else to talk about. So you do the same talk. What is, if people get it, if people are there in infinity, then would you talk about something else? Is there something else to talk about?
Sports. Clothing. I like clothing. It's like Kavanaugh. I like beer. I like clothing. You know, talk about other things. Movies I like. I don't know. I think then see after this, let's say, maybe you have to reinsert the idea of if the apertures seem to open here, just to restate that warning that it's going to arise and claim it. Because there is a subtle assumption that that's going to be put to rest. And in some people, they think it's a necessity. If that voice is still playing, you're putting yourself off way too long. Yeah. That claiming doesn't have to stop for you to be unclaimed. Yeah. You're untouchable. You see that the claiming, to put it simply, is full of shit. It's implying it has something in the process of trying to have it. See? That's the presupposing. It's saying by trying to have it, it's already implying it's had. And a lot of times we come to in the had, and we figure something has to happen to this, or I'll never be able to be free from it. It's a inappropriate reaction, because it's just in the act of assuming. It's always in the act of trying to convince. It doesn't convince. You never are what it's implying you to be. You're inherently already nothing. You can't be what it's suggesting. You don't see, know what I talk about? I would spend a lot more time on time. The quality and the influence of time is the dominant. If you really want to get down to brass tacks or whatever, it's time. Time is the magic trick. Time, the mental state, is doing that little hide the bean thing with time. It's moving past, future, and present. So something happens after, and yet it's implied to that it's before. That's its move. Yeah. So now it's implying, there's a having, and then if you buy it, you're had. You've been had forever. You're never gonna get out of being had. You were never in had. Yes? See it. You have eyes to see. I could be totally mistaken, but it doesn't fucking matter. Something's being impressed, which is not of the words and not even the pointing. You've been hit. You've been served the spiritual subpoena. People who've gotten it, I guarantee, if they were put under oath, they'd have to fucking admit they're traveling lighter. I mean, the payoff cost ratio is great. There's not much fucking cost. Oh, I had to go to Sansa. I had to sit on a nice chair for an hour. Yeah, and then the payoff, fuck, I travel lighter. Oh, wow. That's a no-brainer, right? Jeez, that's a great payoff. Like this thing said, all this shit would be quite unnecessary if you just fucking see. And the seeing's always available at all times, so let's follow its cue. All right. Yeah. I'm seeing the activity that's implying me. Yeah. Before it finishes its job. Yeah. I'm already nothing, and yet it's trying to add something to it. And I can see it. implying it. It can't do it. It just implies to nothing that it's something. That's all it does. And then nothing goes, okay, let's enjoy this, and then it's in the ride. It goes, let me think, and then you're so in, there's, what? And now and then the thing is, you want to get off the ride, but this is the ride. Yeah? This isn't on a roller coaster. This is the roller coaster, the body. So you want to get off the ride, but as the ride, good luck. It's like a car trying to get out of a car. The car thinking it's a Ford is still not going to let it get out of the car. But a Ford should be able to escape the car. No. Why not realize you've never been in, and then the desire or drive to get out will be muted? Yes. Yeah. Your attention and interest can go to other worthwhile projects like here and now. You never get gypped again, at least. You can't be, oh, no, you're here. This is all there is. I'm not missing a fucking thing. Yeah, yes?
What are we afraid of?
I don't know. I don't know what we are afraid of. How could I do that? Well, let's say, I used the example yesterday, but there's new people here. All right, so let's look at a snake, yes? And every year a snake goes through molting the skin. The skin falls off the snake, yes? It doesn't do it, does it? The skin goes, I gotta start molting, I don't want to fucking do it. No, it just falls off. And so, all right, so let's look at that event. Snake, skin's gonna fall off snake. All right, let's look at it from the skin's point of view. The skin has been assuming and implying that it's the whole snake. Yeah? Totally essential to the snake is the skin. So when it starts feeling the effects of the molting start to occur, it communicates to the snake through the brain and says, listen, buy a lot of moisturizer. Yeah, don't let this fucking skin fall off. Yeah, and it starts directing when you're traveling over rocks. Don't go near that rock, and then shit like this. Yes. So, and instead of it's having bright thing, and then it tries to buy dates because it doesn't have shiny scales anymore. So it can't even get the female snakes. So it figures if I get a financial superiority, I can get what I want. Whatever. You can go a lot of ways. All right. So here's the snake. Here's the skin. Yeah. So from the skin's point of view, taking itself to be able to escape, but it knows deep down it ain't. It's scared shit because it's like end days to the skin. But to the snake, it's hallelujah. It's gonna be lighter, the scales are gonna be brighter, attract females more. It's gonna go over the rock smoother. There's no little snags or little rips anymore. It's a big win for the snake. But they're both one's not being presented, but mostly the view that's being presented is from the skin's point of view. And from the skin's point of view, it's super fucking afraid because its whole story is going to get negated because the snake's going to continue when the skin falls off. Yeah? It's lived its whole little broadcasting career, broadcasting to the snake, it's the end of you if any fucking thing happens to me, but it hasn't been true. Yeah? And it's now, Judgment Day is on its way, and it would love to prolong that. Because the skin's going to fall off, the snake's going to be doing fucking great. That's sort of what it's like, yeah? The head is presenting one view from the skin. What we are is from the snake.
Why does it matter what the skin thinks? It's all going to happen anyway.
Well, if you're thinking you're the skin, it matters a lot.
Not in the end.
Well, not yet, but see, the snake the skin doesn't want to get to the end. It's concerned with the now, the middle. Yeah.
But ultimately, really, do we have to be concerned at all? It's going to what's going to
Well, the thing is, you don't have to be anything. But because of certain conditions and beliefs, there's a concern for sure. Yeah? You can say, I don't need to be concerned, but there'll still be concern. Yeah? What our voice represents is a very low level of like surface consciousness. There's a lot of shit going on underneath. Yeah? You have predilections and conditions that are setting the way it's going here. You're not even aware of how to go down there. Yeah? You know what I mean? You're the voice, the voice that's on just, it's on the skimming of the surface. It talks as if it's you completely. It has no fucking idea what's moving the pieces. Yeah? Yeah. The idea of free will and everything, they're all very suspect. Yeah. So, of course it makes, see, in a logical way, it can make sense. Why would I worry? But the worrying will continue. The message isn't logical in a sense, because it doesn't matter about logic. Yeah? Something in you has a mortal terror of being found out. It lives to be relevant. Have you ever been with a man or woman? This happened with me. Maybe I shouldn't record this, but I better, let me weigh the payoff cost. This may not be a good move. I'll move away from it. Let's move on. Let's not get carried away, Paul.
We want to hear the story.
Well, it's not a story in a sense, but you know, like when you'd be with somebody and really your head was playing its act out, you know, like you were fucking with them in some way. Let's say like withholding or something. Something was going on. There was a lot more going on than just two people meeting and everything. Yes. So maybe you were testing them to see if their love was authentic. When the test is already, the score is already determined, they have to fail. Yes, but you're going through this thing, and the woman keeps trying to show up. But then one day, because I've learned one thing about women, when they finally decide, it's over. Yeah? It may take a long time for them to reach the decision, but if the decision's reached, bye. It's finito. So let's say your head was using you, getting off on this little game, making them jump through hoops. Oh no, that's not enough, whatever. And then one day, to her, you're irrelevant. You can't affect her anymore. Your little game, she's not open to. She's not going to be the playing field with this little activity. And the sense of fucking anger and fear of being irrelevant to me was one of the greatest revealing of that selfing. Yeah, when it was confronted with being completely irrelevant to the object that it was not happy with that at all. And you could see its little fangs and everything. It was quite revelatory. So that's what I was talking about. So I don't know what I was about anyway. I'm going to edit this out anyway. So no.
It was vague.
Huh?
It seemed vague. This story.
Yeah, it's vague.
It's vague. Yeah.
It's a vague story.
Yeah. But it's happened a number of times.
Yeah.
You'd be projecting your old blame on someone, and then when the person's clear enough not to bounce it back, and you get left with it, and that was sort of the end of blame at that point. Yeah, I saw it because a lot of this activity was blaming others, like the course with the guilt, blaming others for not loving me or this and that. And I realized without that lady, throwing the ball back, I got left with it, and that day was when I started getting weaned off of blaming. It was cool. It wasn't cool at the time, but it was cool. Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah.
Can I just mention something? I mean, from someone has come to all your talks when you come for the last 15 years that you've been coming here. Would you say, because from historically what's happened here, is that your talks, like you asked if his talks are the same, they aren't quite the same. There's stories that are similar, but when you talk, it's like it just seems to just whatever comes out. But for me, there's been a couple of times when the energetic hit, I don't know what you want to call it, the frequency hit has been pretty expanding, and then sometimes not. So is it not so much the talk as you often say, but it's the overhead? Is it the energetic? Is it? It's if this story somehow opens up and that energetic hit comes in.
For sure, definitely,
Right.
yeah. Well, that's the message. I want to call it whatever energy.
Yeah, I know.
The envelopes can be discarded, but see, the thing is, when this is a beautiful disguise, because when the mental states looks into the envelope, there's nothing there, but that nothing is everything. Then what you are comes around, goes, what's that? Opens up the envelope. Ah, yes. That is really what goes on. Yeah, yeah.
So would you say that in that way it has a value to go to retreats and to listen to talks?
I think the value of whatever happens comes from the person that's before it, yeah. So I don't think retreats have value in and of themselves. I think they can be a vehicle of value for the person, or they may be a disservice for the person, yeah. They're not ironclad to duality. They could be both things. So, you know what I mean? Some people, yeah, that's my feeling.
Because I wonder, otherwise, like if you are just on your own, like I find that for me it's easier to get lost.
Yes, yeah. Well,
The
then you
selfing,
come
right?
to these things in communities, yeah. I think that's why, you know, see, no matter how you want to present the message, it's going to be used by the people the way they see it. So people, you know, they try to use it as skillful means and stuff. But I find all the value doesn't come from whatever it is. It teases it out of me. It doesn't come from a retreat, because then why would a retreat for one person not be really valuable and extremely valuable for another? It's obviously not the retreat. It's just the people that are there, and based on where you're coming from. So at one time where I was coming from, a retreat made sense. To me now it doesn't make any sense. But if it makes sense for someone else, and again, I believe if you feel like you really need to do something, you better do it, because you're the dreaming. So if you've set it up that it's going to happen this way, well, you better follow through with the whole, yeah? I don't have those demands, so what would have me go to a retreat would be the physical location, like the beach, and the meal, you know, the food. You know, if I got a scholarship, I'd go to retreats. I wouldn't live in a house. I'd just go to retreats every year. Just eat all the good food, swim around, and then they'd say, where is that attendee Paul? I'd be swimming and I wouldn't be sitting for 13 hours, that's for sure. No. Are the teachers? No. Are the teachers sitting with you for 13 hours? No way. They know better. They're not sitting with you. They're having a latte in the back. Have you seen them? I don't see them participate. One of the first ones I went to, I'm going to turn this off. This is going to get personal.
Use this evidence against